Hey guys, it's Linda Lukovic. I'm coming on for my third talk in the Mom to Mom Biz Academy group. And today's focus is going to be on a holistic approach to healthy breasts. And before I get into this topic, what I wanted to share with you is an interesting statistic that I stumbled across. And the statistic is around people who might have the genes for breast cancer. So the BRCA1 and 2. So I think sometimes a lot of us feel like, well, if we have breast cancer in our family, then it's our destiny. But I want to share something with you. So at present, if you have that gene and you feel like you're more susceptible for breast cancer, today there's an 82% chance that you may develop breast cancer in your future. But what's interesting is that before the 40s, so 1940s, that if you had that same gene, that your likelihood of developing breast cancer was around 24%. So 82% today, 24% back before kind of 1940. So what's different? So this is how I thought I would focus my talk today. So instead of focusing just on breast cancer, we're going to talk about eating to create an environment or train in your body where cancer is less likely to grow, because it's not just about the breast, it's about something so much bigger. When it comes to developing cancers in the body. So we are experiencing a huge issue today because of our world. We have an extraordinary number of toxins in our personal care products. Did you know that on average, women put about 167 chemicals on their body a day? That's in one day. And the scary thing is, what we may know the impact of these chemicals on an individual basis, and that in small amounts it's considered safe, but what we don't know is what happens when these chemicals come together inside your body. What are they going to do for your health in the long term? So that's kind of a scary fact. We also know that our stress levels are way higher than they were in the 40s. We make 100% more decisions even in the first hour of our day than we did, say 40 years ago, even 50 years ago. So we've got a lot more stress. We are living in a chronic state of inflammation because of the increase of processed foods that are available on our market. And because of our busy lifestyles, we tend to lean towards those processed foods a little bit more than we may have back in the day. And they're just a whole bunch of things working against us. So what I wanted to focus on is to just talk about some tips for keeping your body healthy and well to prevent any formation of cancer. We all have cancer cells in our body. And the question is, are they going to turn into something bigger? Hey guys, hey Bella. So there are definitely things that we can do that are in our power. And what's interesting also is I'm not just going to focus on food, because it's bigger than, like I mentioned, it's bigger than that. So I'm going to talk about all sorts of different tips, and I'll finish it off with the food focus. So the first thing that research shows that can help with creating a healthier terrain in the body, keeping inflammation low, for example, is meditation. And it can be as simple as, taking time in the morning, or maybe finding a time throughout the day to integrate some deep breathing into your day to make sure that you're keeping those stress levels low. Because what we do know is that stress creates a whole cascade of your body releasing hormones that can create inflammation. And inflammation isn't bad in the short term, but when it becomes chronic, meaning when your stress always stays at a certain level and you never really have a break from it, it starts to create some damage in the body, okay? And that's when you start to see the negative impacts of inflammation. So an example could be of a low-grade inflammation is anxiety, right? And the thing with inflammation is there's always sort of like a degree, a spectrum. So on one end, it might be a very mild anxiety, and on the extreme end, it might be a full-blown panic attack. And so no matter where you are along that scale, some of those imbalances could indicate that you have an inflammation in the body. And so that would be a reminder to maybe make some changes to kind of clean things up so that you don't have to worry about that inflammation. And meditation is great for that. And sometimes the thought of meditation stresses people out. Would you agree? I remember I was so busy when I was working my corporate job, and the thought of meditating was like, like too much for me. There's no way I could find time to get out to a meditation class, let alone, get the benefits from it. So what I want to remind everyone is that you can meditate on the go, and it can be really simple. What I like to do for myself is whenever I go up or down stairs, I focus on deep breathing. So breathing into my belly, which has an amazing effect physiologically. It's very closely connected with your emotions and your thoughts. And so when you're able to slow down your thinking, to slow down your breathing, it control your emotions from there. And so breathing deeply, going up and down the stairs was kind of like a trigger for me to remind me to breathe in the day. And then I would also do it when I was driving and I'd stop at a traffic light, deep breathe. So that's my challenge for you, is just to figure out something you do every day that's maybe at a certain point throughout your day that you can then incorporate deep breathing into it. And if you love the idea of going deeper with meditation, I know there's a lot of amazing women in this group that teach classes. So seek one of them out to help you. So the next thing that we can talk about is exercise. So exercise is all about keeping things moving. So one of the things that we don't want our bodies to be stuck in is being stagnant. We want to keep the fluids, like the lymph fluids, moving. The lymph system needs to pump to do its work. And the lymph system is a fluid system in the body that pulls out toxins and chemicals and helps to release them outside of the body. And so exercise is a great way to do just that, and many other things. But if you can incorporate exercise into your day, there's loads of research showing how great this is. One of the favorite forms of exercise that I've always loved, especially for busy people, or people think they're too busy to exercise and doesn't require any equipment or money, is Tabata training. You can find so many free or cheap Tabata training sessions on video or YouTube, and they're incredible because they show that you get the most amount of benefits to your body with the least amount of time investment, and I'm all for that. So the way it works is you try to raise your heart rate, doing whatever it is you can do, depending on your activity level. Raise your heart rate for at least 30 seconds and take a small break, and then do it again for another 30 seconds and do that for at least 7 times. I may have mentioned this in another one of my talks, but Tabata, look for Tabata anywhere and it will kind of explain the process. If you can do it for a longer period of time, even better. But the key is you're going to see some fantastic results for your body. It helps your body produce growth hormone and helps, combat the effects of stress. It's just so many levels, and it helps you to pump that lymphatic system to get that stuff out. So the key is to make sure your heart rate is up really high. So pick something that's hard for you. For some of you, it might just be, up and down your stairs. That's a really easy one. Maybe it's burpees. Maybe it's, doing like high knees, jogging on the spot. You really don't need any equipment. You can totally do it at home. Do it on a commercial, do it while you're watching Netflix, do it, while you're making dinner and you're waiting for something to cook. It is so easy. So add more exercise into your day. If you have more time to invest in exercise, then try to find a friend. So one of the biggest things for me is I used to do that Tabata training all the time, but I wasn't doing it quite enough to have a positive impact. So I eventually joined a gym, and I have a group of friends, and we all go to the same gym and we drag each other out. So having that community around you of active people is huge. So if you're not really quite in the mood for going out and getting exercise, then your friends will make sure that you get there. Another thing that you can do to help improve the terrain in your body is to sweat, so outside of exercise. So you can do that through an infrared sauna, or even just a hot bath or hot shower at home and then following with a cold shower. That's fantastic for pumping the lymph system. But my personal favorite is an infrared sauna. We actually have one at the clinic now, so we're really loving that. It really feels like it's warming you from the inside out, but what it's doing is it's sort of heating your body up so that it's almost like your immune system's improving, and it kind of takes care of your body. So you want your immune system to be strong, okay, for prevention. So an infrared sauna on a regular basis can be a great way to do that. Or a hot shower, alternating with a cold shower is also great to get that lymph moving. Also for the lymph is dry skin brushing. So if you haven't heard of that, what you do is you get one of those kind of like loofah brushes. They look like a natural fiber, and you basically start at the furthest away from your heart, and you just do light skin brushes up your arms, okay, your arms, up your legs, stay away from the sensitive spots, but all the way towards the heart. And that stimulates your lymphatic system as well and helps your skin to get rid of some of those toxins as well. Another great thing to do is to get into a regular practice from visiting practitioners like Reiki, osteopathic manual practitioners also do lymphatic drainage. Some RMTs do lymphatic drainage. There's lots of people that can help with energy flow in the body. I know, Bella, you do, and a bunch of other people in this group can as well. I would say visit one of them on a regular basis. Take time for you and get them to help you get things moving in the body. And that's not just fluids, but it's also energies. There is a ton of research that shows the connection of our thoughts and our thinking to our disease. Carolyn Miss is one of my favorites. She's written a book around just that. And she talks a lot about, based on the way you think and the sort of the type of person you are in terms of your personality and what types of diseases it can typically link to. So it's a really interesting read. So really paying attention to those thoughts and how they might be impacting your health is a big thing to do as well. Massage your breasts with essential oils. Okay, now we're going to zone in on the breast area because that's the topic of the talk, but you can absolutely help with lymphatic flow there. So first of all, you don't want to use commercial deodorant that blocks your lymph glands under your armpits. You want to use a natural one that doesn't have any aluminum in it. And then make sure you clean your armpits really well after, maybe even detox them once in a while with a nice clay mud mask to pull the toxins out of the armpits and free up those lymph nodes. Okay, so those are some of the bigger lymph nodes that help to release some of those fluids. And I like to use the essential oil frankincense, and cypress is also a great one for encouraging circulation and flow. So making sure that you dilute those essential oils and rub them on your breasts. Whenever you think about them, maybe once a week is a good practice, and then you can even do your own self-exam during that period. There's different kind of thoughts and feelings around getting mammograms, and I personally kind of err on the side of less often, because there are lots of studies and research out there that show that they can potentially not be that accurate. And I can link some studies down below because you really have to make your own decision here, but maybe considering thermography as an alternative to mammogram every year and just maybe do it a little bit less often would be a recommendation as well, based on the research that I've seen. And then also another couple of things that you might want to make sure that you test on a regular basis is your vitamin D levels and also your iodine. And to check your iodine is actually really something very simple. I think I shared this in one of my talks, but it's really easy. You just get iodine from the Shoppers Drug Mart or the drugstore, and you put a patch on your inner wrist here, and you watch to see how long it takes to fade. Now, the faster it fades, like let's say it fades in less than 6 hours, that's probably a pretty good indication that your body does not have enough iodine. It's really common, you guys, for North Americans. And so you want that to stay on you for at least 12 hours. 24 hours is awesome, but usually you'll start to see it really, but it depends on your body, right? Some people will see it fade right away, and that's an indication that your hormone system needs some support, typically your thyroid, specifically your thyroid. So you'll want to make sure that you get really proactive with your hormone health at that point in time, because that's a really easy test to do yourself, and will give you, kind of cue you to maybe take things a little bit more seriously to get yourself balanced. This isn't going to be a surprise, but sleep, you guys, we've seen it out there, like tons of research around sleep, but it is so, so important. If you can get to bed, I know this sounds like so unrealistic, but if you can get to bed by 10:30, that's where the magic happens with your hormones, right? With your production at night, and try to do it fasting. So if you try not to snack after 8 p.m. if you can, you want to try to leave a 12-hour window of no food at least to really ensure that your body's going through a full detoxification cycle. So your body is designed to detox well and get rid of all of the chemicals that we're taking in through just breathing and living our lives. But to really support it, you want to leave that 12-hour window. Intermittent fasting can be fantastic. for some people, not everyone right away, but you might want to explore that as well. Maybe just, once in a while, trying to delay your breakfast for a little bit longer and eat a little bit later in the day. That can be really helpful for some people. Maybe talk with your healthcare provider about that, and they can guide you in the right direction. And so now we'll talk about diet. So there are lots of things that you can do to clean up your diet and really focus on anti-inflammatory eating. We want to create an environment in our body that is alkaline and not too acidic. And so we can do that in a way that also supports our body in kind of getting rid of, pulling out excess bad estrogens as well. So I'm not going to give a ton of diet information because I don't want to overwhelm, but I will give you kind of a few key areas to focus. And the first one is to up your fiber, and specifically through flax seeds. So flax seeds are a healthy estrogen, so phytoestrogen, that is incredible for the body and incredible for breast health and hormonal health. And so you want to be trying to get as many phytoestrogens as you can. Super simple and fat flax seeds. So I say between, if you can do 2 to 3 tablespoons a day, that is ideal. And those flax seeds are going to work through your bowel, and they're going to draw out any excess bad estrogen from your body and help to dispel it through the bowel movements. Okay, so that is one thing that I really want you to focus on, is upping your fiber. So you can create a little blend of flaxseed, and I even like to blend in, if you have one of those coffee grinders, throw in some pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, sunflower seeds, and blend them all up and have like a batch of it ready and keep it in your freezer or your fridge and sprinkle that on everything throughout the day. Because what you're also doing by adding those seeds is you're adding an extra layer of minerals into your diet. And so many of us are mineral deficient, and we need those minerals to help with a lot of different functions in our bodies. So if you have coffee in the day, that is definitely one thing that helps to kind of deplete your body of minerals. So you want to make sure that you're getting loads of them. So just by having that ready to go in your fridge and sprinkle them in your soups and your salads and your smoothies and anywhere you can think of it, it's really going to help you to feel a little bit more balanced and improve your health and vitality. Another thing I'd like you to focus on is really starting to pay attention to the oils that you're taking into your body, because one of the easiest way to increase inflammation in your body is to eat a rancid oil. And it can be really easy to eat rancid oils, because a lot of the oils on our market right now, including all vegetable oils, can be very unhealthy. We don't even really know what's in them. And quite often there's corn, which is inflammatory, and all sorts of other sort of canola oil. We don't even really know what's in there. It could be a little bit of corn, could be a little bit of vegetable, but they are inflammatory in the body. And so we want to make sure that we're trying to stick with only extra virgin olive oil. And it's best to look for the ones that come in the really dark bottles, and they're usually in smaller bottles, because those are generally healthier. But you can talk to your health food store and ask them for their recommendations. A really clean coconut oil or a ghee is also great for stir frying foods at higher temperatures. So the olive oil would just be using at room temperature, and then the coconut oil or the ghee or the butter, and make it organic butter, would be great for stir frying vegetables. And really outside of that, you don't really need any other oils in your food. The best way to get omega-3s, which is our oil that helps keep inflammation low, as opposed to omega-6, is what we get through our seeds and our flax seeds and our oily fish like salmon and mackerel and sardines, and all of those fish that maybe some of us eat. I don't know if all of us eat those. Anchovies are also good. It's a really great way to get them through food. Now, make sure that you do your homework there, because sometimes some fish on the market is, they might have a higher level of toxins in them. So getting a good quality fish oil is another way to go. That's kind of my preference, because I just know I don't eat enough fish. So I always take a good quality omega-3 every day, and I make sure that my whole family does as well. So that's really important for keeping that inflammation down, which is, again, what we want in our body to prevent that cancer growth. So ditch the white stuff. Okay, so far I've just talked about upping your fiber, making sure that you're choosing clean oils, and then finally ditch the white stuff: white sugar, white flour, white anything. Usually it means it's processed and it creates an acidic environment for us, and that is an environment where cancer grows. There was a study done on mice, and they fed these mice sucrose for a certain period of time, and these mice developed breast cancer. So that's just one study. There's loads of studies like that that show sugar does impact the immune system and can also increase cancer rates. And some people even go as far as to say that cancer feeds, or sugar feeds cancer. Okay, so I'm going to leave it at those tips because that is a lot. That's a lot to focus on. And one of the things that you can do to start shifting sugar, if you are currently eating sugar, is to maybe just try some healthier alternatives. So, for example, coconut sugar at least has the minerals intact. It's lower glycemic, and it will still give you a feeling of sweetness or a taste of sweetness, but it will not impact you as negatively as white sugar. For the white products, I would recommend really trying to ramp up the root veggies you eat. So, experimenting more with sweet potatoes and yams and squash. And there's so much of this available this winter. Trying to load up more on those nutrient-dense carbohydrates. And you'll find that you crave, bread a little bit less, and some of those unhealthy carbohydrates a little bit less. Now, I'm not asking you to be perfect because we're just not. Like, it's impossible to eat perfectly all the time. But if you can just try to, pay attention to those three areas and eat as many, real foods, whole foods as often as possible, you're going to definitely help that you make sure that you create an environment where cancer does not want to grow. Now, there's a lot of other things that you could do, but I've kind of kept it simple just because I want you to be able to walk away to apply some things right away. And things that may not be that hard. And what I want you to think about is what was the one thing that you needed a reminder about today? So maybe you've kind of slipped into the habit of maybe, eating too many sugary treats lately, or maybe you've fallen off your habit of putting flaxseed in your smoothie, or whatever it is, there was something that was meant for you today. So instead of trying to remember everything I said, just try to remember a couple of things and incorporate them back into your daily routine for life. We all do better when we change our lifestyle as opposed to hopping on the latest diets all the time. So if you're interested in getting any further testing, I can definitely point you in the right direction. If you have any questions, specifically, make sure you make a point under here, and I'll make sure I'll check in and answer you. But I hope you walked away with something, and hope you guys are great and enjoy your Monday. Talk to you soon.